crazy thing in this all is I walked up on a bedded goose. That one was a first for me. Well, good morning everybody. It is a balmy 9 degrees here in Utah. Decided to get up and try for some landscape shots and maybe see what's around for wildlife as well. We're kind of in a point here where there's a lot of birds that are moving through the area because of the cold winter temperatures, and it can be a great time to get a lot of birds of prey. So heading out to an area kind of, it's a sagebrushy, but there's also some ponds and stuff that'll of course be frozen. The truck said 9 degrees at the parking lot, and we're probably maybe 20 minutes, half hour or so from first light, and about an hour or so from sunup. So it's gonna be cold out there, but when it gets this cold in this area, the frost will get really thick, and it'll be on everything, and so it'll give almost like this cool little winter wonderland look to pretty much everything. So I'm hoping that I can find some compositions that I can work off with that. That's really the goal, why I'm out in this extreme cold. No, it's not extreme cold. Why I'm out in this cold. Hoping that that'll pan out. Driving out here, it looks like the frost is starting to form on the weeds and trees and stuff out here. So I think it'll do it again this morning. It did it yesterday morning. So anyway, I don't know how much of this I'll be able to record. The GoPro batteries do not like the cold, so I'll do my best to keep them warm and kind of keep taking them in and out of the camera when I'm not filming, just to keep some body heat on them, and hopefully I'll be able to record more, but I make no guarantees, so I'll get what I can. I made it out to a spot that I think is pretty nice. Got some trees here. Just kind of waiting for the sun to come up. I've taken a few shots early on, but really want the sun hitting the trees. So everything, as you can imagine, is frozen solid out here, being as it's well below freezing. But it actually doesn't feel that bad out here if you just dress right for it. So, but you can see how everything is just covered. It's just white everywhere. Anyway, for my first early on shots, I was actually getting the moon and the trees there, and having to do a long shutter on that just so I could get enough light. So on a couple of those I was close to a second to pull in enough light, making sure that my histogram looks good, pretty even, and then I'll be able to pull out what I need to in the post, getting the colors and everything that I want. Well, not that I want, that are there. I always try to keep my photos as natural as possible, so I'm not one to really doctor photos up. I just edit them to get them to look how it looked in the moment. So I think that's honestly the best way to go with photography, because anybody can create anything if they're really good in Photoshop or any sort of editing software. Anyway, I was in the middle of talking and the camera died. That's just how bad this thing is in the cold. I don't know if you have ideas on how to get this thing to work better in the cold, please let me know. But it's a GoPro Hero 8, and I've read a lot of stuff about them that people say they do this. It's just hard to believe for a camera that is marketed for like filming snowboarding and all sorts of action sports. Like, it should have a battery that should be able to handle the cold. But I'll get about 2 minutes out of a battery pack before it dies. So clearly I'm gonna have to switch to something else, because this thing's just not cutting it, and I don't end up filming much in these situations because the camera won't keep going, won't do it. Anyway, you keep waiting for the sun to come up. See what we get. Sun's just about to come over the mountains. And it is really cold. It's dropped more than it was. I'm out on a pond, skating my way over to a camera. So that's what we've got. Maybe for my setup on my landscape user profile, I have a 3-second exposure delay. That way I can eliminate any camera vibration. You can see the settings I'm running. Maybe. So yeah, just getting this awesome sunset. And hoping the GoPro lasts a little bit longer. My plan is once the sun starts peeking up over the mountains, I'm going to shift over and try to shoot it through those trees. That should dull down the sun a little bit, and I think it'll give it a cool effect as well, so we'll see. Alright, so I've shifted my position just a hair to get in line with the trees. That's what we're looking like right now. Probably have to adjust the exposure a little bit once that sun starts peeking over, because it's going to get really bright, but I like that. Anyway, so one of the things that I always do when I'm trying to set up for a landscape shot is move up and down a lot. So I think I know the human eye is very intricate in how it works. We have a relatively wide field of view when you really think about it. And not everything is in sharp focus, but oh, there the sun's coming up. Not everything is in sharp focus, but I think because we can see such wide field of view, we don't realize how much we can see, like, angularly, I think. So you may see something when you're standing around. This is getting really good. You may see something when you're standing around walking around that you're like, oh, that's such a cool shot, and then you put the camera up at the height that you were looking at it and it doesn't look right. So when that happens, start playing around with the angle, move up and down, move side to side, and all of a sudden you'll see through that camera that you start pulling in the feel that you had with what your eye was seeing. So fastest way to do this is just pull your cell phone out. Use your cell phone, move up and down, try your different angles, get set. Then once you figure out what the height is, then you can come in and get your actual camera set up and get the shot that you want to get. That's one of the big things that I think can be challenging with this, is getting that right angle, and it can take some time. It can take some shifting around and moving and all that type of stuff, but when you do find that perfect angle, it looks amazing. So anyway, I'm gonna keep at it. The sun's just starting to hit stuff, so it's really, really pretty out here. This is what I was hoping for, so we're gonna get to it. Okay, so sun's pretty high now, lighting is starting to change. I mean, it's still pretty decent, honestly, because there's clouds on the horizon, so it's kind of knocking down some of the harsh light. But I think I got the shots that I wanted anyway. So I'm gonna switch lenses, gonna put on the super telephoto and wander around here a little bit, see if we can find some birds or other critters to take pictures of while the lighting's still good. And there's all this frost and stuff on the grass. Aside from my face being cold, I've actually been hot. I need to drop a layer before I start walking. It's definitely one of the keys to making these types of experiences enjoyable, and where you can really focus on what you want to focus on, which is taking pictures. And that's really making sure that you got the right gear, that you're dressed warm enough. And it doesn't have to be expensive stuff, just you got to think your layering system. Synthetics are really good. There's a lot of companies out anymore that are putting out good synthetics, but the nice thing about synthetics, like especially in these types of environments where you're dressed really warm and you start moving and sweating, the synthetics will do really well at wicking that moisture away. They'll dry quick, and then you won't freeze when you stop moving. So cotton, bad. Wool will keep its insulating properties when it's wet, but a lot of stuff that's out there, just normal t-shirts and long sleeve shirts and stuff, usually end up being cotton, and that's really bad in these situations because cotton does not dry well. There's a saying that cotton kills, and there's a lot to be said for that because cotton does not dry quickly and it can be really dangerous. So I made it back to the truck. It was a hot walk. I got so sweaty. I should have stopped partway through and taken off a layer, but man, it was warm, especially with that sun up. But I did get some shots of a kestrel. I think lighting is pretty harsh, so cool to see nonetheless, but I don't think they'll come out to anything good. The crazy thing in this all is I walked up on a bedded goose. That one was a first for me. I didn't know they would sit that tight. I know a lot of upland game well, and injured birds well. So when I saw him, I thought he was injured. I walked within like 15 yards of him before I saw him. I thought he was injured, so I started kind of going around him a little bit. And I guess the sun was just enough in his eyes when I was walking towards him that he couldn't see me coming. And then, yeah, as soon as I started kind of going around him a little bit, I think he got enough of an angle that he could see me, and all of a sudden hops up and flies away. I was not ready at all. Oh my word. I tried to shoot a couple shots of him, but none of them came out good. They're all too blurry and just black, which is frustrating because I was so close to him, like 10-15 yards from him. Oh well, that was cool to see. Another learning experience. I've never ceased to be amazed at the more time that I spend out here, the more things I learn and get figured out, and just cool and amazing things that I get to see. That was pretty neat. Anyway, I think that about wraps this one up, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.